would like to also comment.
Oh, yes, please do.
Yes. With the standards, as you said, it's being reviewed by the company from year to year or per the activities. So it's activity based. And then also with every step of the production line, you come up with your own standards. Because when we take, for instance, the boiling, if you boil for an hour, the result is different from boiling for 2 hours or 3 hours.
Okay.
So based on the company or the individual, as you study your line of production and your products, you standardize based on the outcomes, and then you follow a particular line of or methods of production so that you get your standards. So the standards, though we don't have any specific standards, but we ourselves tend to develop our own and stick with it, and then make changes from time to time as and when it's needed. Thank you.
Okay, so there's two things in there. Yes, of course, I mentioned earlier, say in standardization, it could be due to experimentation or observation. So I'm sure for them, they have done it over and over and over and over. And they've observed that if you do it this way, like you said, if you boil for 1 hour, you get different things from when you boil for 2 hours. Some observation or experimentation they did. But the standards you are setting, when you're setting a standard, be careful not to set standard for yourself that is limited to yourself. Because there's a higher authority that is still going to check you. So, for example, if the tendency of you saying that, okay, any say, I set a standard. If you go to FDA, it doesn't meet FDA standard. FDA is a high authority, they will reject your product. So, in as much as when you are setting a standard, try and find out if there's a reference you can make to. So, what does the British Pharmacopoeia or whatever Pharmacopoeia says? So, this is what we are learning this. It is more like to say there's always an authority that you need to look out for. That authority becomes your standard. Now, if there's no authority and you are sure there's no authority, then the authority becomes your level. So in their case, for example, if it's assuming there's boiling has no standard, assuming. Now your quality assurance person you are the person. Okay. SOPs. Yes, the person has done it and then has established an SOP that you follow. That has become your standard. As far as that company is concerned. So, you are looking at that SOP all the time. He may not be there sitting with you, but you always look and check the paper. Okay. I got it. Because we check you. That thing is your standard. Now, if there is a higher authority like FDA that expects you that the product should be read, once you not look at only your SOP, but you look at the FDA's requirements and trying to get the read. It means your mind is on FDA, the acceptance by FDA. You get it? Yeah. So all the time, there's an authority that you need to look up to. Even if you are setting one standard, make sure you are meeting a standard somewhere too. I saw a hand.
Yes. So I was going to ask about what you just answered.
Okay.
And I realized that my problem is there are so many regulatory boards in Ghana as regards to herbal medicine. We have the TMPC, we have GAM, lots of these boards. So when people make their formulations and they take it to, let's say, TMPC, and TMPC approves it and it's on the market, they don't go to FDA, whilst FDA also has a standard. So when it comes on the market, then it becomes a problem. That was what I wanted. And then you reiterated that it has to be similar to what FDA also says. Yeah. So you have to keep that one in mind. Yeah. Thank you.
Always do. In fact, as for the truth is that anything drug, make sure you meet FDA standard. Really, like if in Ghana here, try. Because FDA standard, that's it. Because at the end of the day, they are the authority is vested in them as the main regulator of drugs. Because even the TMPC and the rest, when they take that product, when they take your product, so you write the right time JB on it, they bring it back to us. and now I think Tech does, and maybe some other institution. Yes. When you finish testing them, we'll do the test and everything. We'll take it to FDA for FDA to sanction it. The final was endorsement will come from FDA. So make sure you look at the FDA standard. And the clue is that look out for pharmacopoeias. Most of them they use the pharmacopoeia. So when you look at the pharmacopoeia, British pharmacopoeia, maybe European pharmacopoeia, look at what's written there and follow those instructions. You probably will meet FDA standard also. Yeah.
And for Ghana,
Yes.
our standard is basically FDA.
Yes.
TMPC regulates practitioners.
Yes.
Yes, practitioners, the human beings.
Yes.
Whilst FDA controls the drugs and
yes.
activities related to the drugs. Yes. So when you go out and someone says he's with TMPC, trying to regulate drugs and those ones, you know that it's out of place. So always look out for FDA. And then for the practicing, TMPC will regulate that. Thank you.
Thank you. We would look at the processes and procedures when it comes to standardization of herbal medicines. And we'll go through these 5 steps. Right, there's actually 6, but 2 is merged in 1, the last one. So we'll go through these steps. These are the procedure. How do we standardize? What are some of the things you can do to standardize your products? We'll look at them right after lunch.